Hey all, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the ARVICKA UFO. This is a wireless Bluetooth speaker that has a fabric design that has been getting very popular recently. We saw it with the Google Home Mini, which is a smart connected speaker that rivals the Amazon Echo, but it's a lot smaller and it's more focused on voice search and smart home commands, whereas this has a larger driver, it's more dedicated for music listening, and also has a passive radiator that will give you better bass. Again, fabric speakers are getting more and more popular. We saw one just a few months ago. This was the F6 by High Fidelity Tech that sells for about the same cost. What's different about this version is that there is a waterproof model that can be submerged if you take it to the beach, if you float it in the shower, so it's going to be a bit more rugged. And also there's a kickstand that's integrated into the body of the unit, which means that it can be popped up or hung on the wall more easily. So this is what the packaging looks like. Pretty simple, comes in 3 colors. Only the black version here is completely waterproof. The beige and gray versions are not waterproof and sell for about $5 less. The entire package can be found for under $50 in the links down below. Otherwise, it uses Bluetooth version 4.2, has a connection range of 33 feet, and the battery life is rated at around 12 hours, which seems to be actually pretty strong compared to some of the other models we've seen recently. Also has a built-in microphone, which means that you can answer phone calls with it once you've connected it to your smartphone. It also features a standard 3.5mm jack in case you don't want to use Bluetooth when connecting to an audio source. Packaging is pretty simple. You just have an instruction manual, the speaker itself, and there's also a micro USB cable for charging and power, pretty standard, and the aforementioned auxiliary 3.5mm cable. So taking a look at the design of the speaker first, my first impressions would be this is a lot smaller than the F6. So here is the F6 and here is the UFO for comparison. It's slimmer, it's easy to carry around, but at the same time, it's not going to get quite as loud. With that being said, the fact that it is waterproof means that it also is semi-rugged at least. On the top, of course, we have oversized keys for the volume, and this thing still is considerably larger than the Google Home Mini, but at the same time, again, not quite as large as the F6. On the back here, we have the aforementioned passive radiator where the bass comes out. The entire backing is made out of a soft touch rubber material that prevents it from attracting too much dust. And the ring here, again, acts as a pretty good grip if you are putting it face down on a surface. Over here, we have a rubber flap that covers up the micro USB port for charging, 3.5mm jack for audio, and also a micro SD card slot if you have any music loaded onto a memory card. This will act just as an MP3 player. Now, the microphone is located on the back of the unit, which means if the entire thing is popped up like this, it will be a little bit harder for it to pick up your voice. Just something to quickly keep in mind. I do wish it would be embedded into the fabric somewhere instead. On the top here, there's also a traditional power key. I can hold on this for a few seconds longer to enter the pairing mode. The overall kickstand itself has a pretty stiff hinge, which is a good thing. It allows it to be popped up at various angles, and it supports the weight actually pretty well. So it kind of reminds me of something like the maybe Lenovo Yoga series, where you have this flexible kickstand that can be adjusted at various angles. And if I wanted to pop it up 180 degrees, this is when I would hang this on a wall. If I have a nail on the wall, or I can hang it onto a door handle, something like that. So it gives you quite a few different options as far as setting it up. Alright, so pausing the sound there from that quick demo, the takeaway is that the sound quality is actually quite impressive. It packs much more volume, of course, than any smartphone possibly would. Compared to the F6, it still isn't quite as loud just because the F6 does have larger drivers. This one has two 5-watt drivers, which combines to 10 watts, and they're front-facing, as you can see here, and the passive radiator is again on the back. One thing that you will notice in terms of the sound is that when you are playing the music at slightly lower volumes, there sometimes will be a little bit of background static or a little bit of hissing. It's not too noticeable, but especially becomes a bit more prominent if I have a phone or a source that is further away from the speaker. So if I'm playing the speaker and then the phone is, let's say, in another room completely, there will be a bit more of that distortion. So it's not crystal clear, but at the same time it does pack quite a punch in terms of the volume as well as the bass. Overall, I would say that it's a very good sound quality, especially if you're playing back again, pop music, electronic music around the house. It even works well for playing back movies because there's very little latency between what's playing back on the video and the sound that's coming out from the speaker. So it's almost instantaneous. The wired sound quality is slightly better. You'll notice less static in the background when you're pausing the music in between. So it sounds a little bit more clean. I should also point out that in the wired mode, that's when your battery life will reach 12 hours. If you're using Bluetooth, it's only going to last you for about 6 to 7 hours on a continuous go, which is still quite good, especially considering that this is still a relatively portable unit, but again, not quite to the extent of what I was expecting at first by looking at the packaging. Overall, the microphone also does a good job in terms of test phone calls, although one thing that I will say is that I'm still not a huge fan of the microphone key being on the very back of the unit. This is also the button that's used for playing and pausing your music, in addition to answer and rejecting a phone call. So again, if it's on a surface, especially if it's flat, it's a little bit harder to kind of turn it over and then tap on this key and then flip it back over again. I do wish that they would have maybe integrated it on the front somehow, even though it's already a very clean design that they're going for. I think that that would improve the functionality maybe in a second generation model. Overall, I think that this is a good speaker if you do want something that's crafted out of, again, this unique fabric material and has an integrated kickstand. It really does serve quite a few purposes, from popping it up at various angles to being hung on the wall more conveniently, and beyond that, the waterproof version also makes sense if you plan on taking it with you on vacation consistently. So that's the ARVICKA UFO, a fun fabric wireless Bluetooth speaker that's made almost entirely out of cotton, has a very attractive, sleek design that fits well into any house, and even when you're taking it on the go, it will definitely turn heads and people will ask you, hey, what is that speaker? The fact that it's waterproof also means it's element safe, and you can take it with you to the beach when you're out and about without having to worry about it. I like the kickstand feature a lot. You can see how versatile it really is, and again, the sound quality really isn't bad at all considering the low price. You can check out more details about this in our official written review, but for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been the ARVICKA UFO Fabric Mini Bluetooth Speaker.